Hey guys, it's Alert here, back again with another edition of Saturday Morning Cartoons, and today we'll be talking about, since it's fresh in my memory, Mighty Ducks. Not the movies, but the cartoon. Why? Because, well, I've been buying these lately. So, I figured it'd be the best time to do it, since I know all the names, for the most part, and a lot of the voice acting that went into the show. So, talking about Mighty Ducks, the basic gist of the story is it's a bunch of alien ducks who come from the planet of Puck World. Puck with a P. And they love to play hockey. And they were invaded by the Saurian overlords, which are basically like dinosaurs. You know, Saurian dinosaur. And they chased them to Earth. And now the fight continues on Earth. So that's the basic gist of the story. The episodes pretty much just focused on that. There really wasn't any to-be-continued episodes aside from the pilot, which was a two-parter. I think it was the first conflict or something like that. Something like that. I cannot remember. Yes, and then this show, I don't know why, is really, really hated for some reason. Is it a cash grab? Probably. But is it a good one? I have no problem with people making money. It's how you do stuff. It's how you get revenue to do stuff, is make money. But, again, this is a cartoon, not a movie you had to go and see. So, I don't know. All I know is that I really enjoyed the series. It was 26 episodes, one season, won an Emmy for sound editing, which is beyond me because Gargoyles being the best thing Disney has ever frickin' done for a television series. Stick it, DuckTales. In your fancy song. This blows my mind. I don't think DuckTales won an Emmy either, and everyone's tooting their horns about that. I'll be surprised if the reboot doesn't get one, though. But that's not the point. Point is, Mighty Ducks series is actually not as bad as you may think it is. Is it 90s? Absolutely. Is it ridiculous at sometimes? Absolutely. Is it bad? Not really. It's very of its time, and yeah, it's not that bad. It's really not. I mean, again, I thought it was a little cheesy, but it wasn't that bad. I liked it. I'd say it's a little above average. You know, it's got really good action. It's got hell of a voice acting crew, cast, or what have you. Let's see, you have Tim Curry, Tony Jay, Clancy Brown, and Frank Welker doing the voices of the four main villains, Lord Dragonus, Wraith, Siege, and the Chameleon, in that order. Like, you can't tell me that's not awesome. You can't tell me that's not badass. And then the good guys, you have Jennifer Hale. She does the voice of Mallory, who is the redhead female duck. Jeff Bennett, who is the quote-unquote badass ex-con Duke Larange, and you have Brad Garrett. You may recognize him from Everybody Loves Raymond. He was Robert. And he voices Grin, the big, strong guy who acts kind of like a martial arts hipster in the series. It's quite hilarious, actually. I do not know off the top of my head the voice actors for Tanya, Wild Wing, or Nosedive, but Nosedive's voice actor was really into it, to say the least. And Jim Belushi voiced their manager, Phil. Jim Belushi was also in Gargoyles. He was Fang. Jennifer Hale was in everything. You may know her as Phoenix, Spider-Woman, and Black Cat from the 90s Marvel stuff. And then Zatanna, Livewire, Ice, and maybe Killer Frost from the DCAU from the early 2000s and late 90s. That was her shtick. And then Jeff Bennett's been in like everything too. Same with Frank Welker and Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown is Lex Luthor in the DCAU from the late 90s, early 2000s. That should give you a hint of who that is. And then Tim Curry, Dr. Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then he was the devil in Legend, and he was also Dr. Anton Zavaris in Gargoyles, one of my favorite roles of his, and Nigel Thornberry in The Wild Thornberrys. Just to give you a gist of his major roles, and then Tony J. Frollo, Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was Anubis in Gargoyles too, I did not know that. But I'm going on a tangent here. I'm not going to say who Jeff Bennett and Frank Welker voice, because if you're into this kind of stuff and you don't know those names, or if you've been, Jeff Bennett, you know what, I'll give you one. Brooklyn Gargoyles. There you go. There you go. Brooklyn Gargoyles. Basically the same voice for Duke. It's a little bit more upbeat, but yeah, basically very, very similar. A lot of people compare those two characters. Frank Welker, he's in everything. He was in Gargoyles too. He was Bronx, but you know, Scooby-Doo, Megatron, Fred, I think. From Scooby-Doo, not Fred Flintstone, not Freddie Mercury, not Freddy Krueger, just Fred. But the voice acting was top notch, and now the intro. The intro is actually really cool. It's so 90s, but it's like, it's so good. It's very upbeat, has a little bit of a build-up, and it features Mick Thomas from Jefferson Starship. I like Jefferson Starship, even though I'm more of a thrash metal guy. But I can appreciate Jefferson Starship, but I didn't think they could be like that cool. So, props to that guy. Mickey Thomas, I believe is his full name. And the song is called Ducks Rock. I've been saying Ducks Rock for the past 3 weeks because of this damn show. I don't care. It's a good show. Go watch it. You can watch all of it on YouTube. There are 2 channels that have every episode. Just a side note, Jim Belushi was also in Gargoyles. He was Fang. But I said that already, because I'm stupid. Yeah, the episodes really, like I said, they didn't it's like Scooby-Doo, basically. Speaking of which, it's like they'd solve a mystery, they wouldn't get revisited. Sometimes, yeah, they would. Obviously, past characters would come back, but it'd always be something different. Some of the side villains, you know, they would come back, but really, I think only 2 came back more than once. And on another side note, Jim Cummings did a lot of the voice work for some of the extra characters, as well as some other individuals. But yeah, as a show from a show standpoint, it's about what today is, but the animation, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It looks like Disney, I think. it could also not be Disney. You know, it's kind of in between. Gargoyles, if someone told me that was Disney and I didn't already know it, I'd be like, what? So, at the end of the day, Mighty Ducks is not a bad show by any means. I'd say go ahead and watch some of it. I'll say some of my favorite parts are where Nosedive uses the 90s slang, because he's always seemed like, yeah, boy! He's doing that all the time. It's very funny. I think it's funny. So, yeah, there's a lot of moments of the show where I did laugh. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I'd like to watch some other things next. But next week we will be actually talking about a movie. So Mighty Ducks as a whole, I'd recommend you check it out. I'm going to give it about an 8 out of 10. It's above average, but it's not Gargoyles status. Gargoyles is the end-all be-all for my cartoon rating system. If something's better than Gargoyles, then either it's like I had to write it because I love Gargoyles so much, I write stuff about it and all that junk, or Greg Weisman came out of retirement and made new Gargoyles and called it Gargoyles Reawakening or something. But with that being said, I'm done babbling. Go watch Mighty Ducks. It's not as bad as you think it is. The cartoon. I've never watched the movies. I don't plan on watching the movies. I'm not a sports guy, so ironically, somehow I like the show. And I bought a lot of toys, which we'll be looking at later. So, hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Saturday Morning Cartoons, and until next time, I will catch you guys later. See if I can get the button on the dot this week.